What is up, guys? I'm Andres.
This is RB3.
I'm Sabrina.
And this is The Meaning of Podcast, a podcast where we deep dive into your favorite filmmakers and movies. And once again, we're doing a special one-off episode that has nothing to do with directors. We'll get into a little bit of directors and movies, but we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects with you, RB3, and that's streaming.
Interesting.
Streaming services. Every time, I think we've done like 5 episodes of this.
We've had to.
Of just streaming, of Netflix, of like just streaming in general.
Yeah.
The streaming wars, I guess, that people are calling it.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's one of my favorite topics because I still think, like the Scorsese article said, it's the future of filmmaking. And like a ton of other filmmakers and producers have said, this is where film is going. And I'm excited to talk about it with you because I don't think I have done it before with you, Sabrina. But either way, the reason why we're doing this is because last week, Disney Plus officially launched. They got a ton of users right away, a ton of people signing up.
Yeah.
The Disney stock just flew off the charts, and people went nuts for that sweet, sweet nostalgia, because that's kind of what it is.
That's only what it is.
So far, yes, I agree with that. So far, it's only what it is. In the future, who knows what it could be. But right now, it's like you're watching reruns of Even Stevens and Spider-Man and X-Men the Animated Series, and it's like, all right, this is like legit nostalgia in my veins kind of thing. But either way, I think it's an interesting conversation to bring up because Apple launched their streaming service, I believe, like 3 weeks before.
2 weeks before.
2 weeks before, and they did not have the same hype and numbers and success, even though they still invested like literally billions of dollars into their streaming service. So it's obviously, once again, we see the power of IP.
Yeah.
And I really want to get the conversation started as far as what we're going to see in the future, what this means, and if Disney Plus is going to take over the world, RB3, or at least take over streaming.
Yeah. Is that what you're asking me right now?
It's absolutely what I'm asking you right now.
No, this doesn't have a chance. No,
okay.
It doesn't. After a week of having it, and I did get Disney Plus, by the way, people.
Hey.
I've been actively protesting it.
#shoot.
No. I've been actively protesting it. Fortunately, thank you, Verizon, my overpriced cell phone bill. They're providing Disney Plus for a year, so I'm utilizing that for the year. Yeah. And after the year is over, then I'm gonna have to make the real decision.
Can I quote Backstreet Boys and say, "Tell me why"?
Tell you why.
Tell me why Disney isn't
Plus.
taking over the world.
Oh,
even though someone like an actual skeptic, got Disney Plus.
No, because listen. Okay, so here's the thing. First thing I did when I got Disney Plus, I went through it. I'm not gonna lie. First thing I did, searched up "Song of the South." It's not on there. Okay. I was really curious. Second thing I did was I went through all of the catalog, like not everything like individually in particular, but I breezed through it. I breezed through the layout, I breezed through the timeline. And honestly, for me, why I don't think it might not have the necessary staying power that I think it something like a Netflix or even a Hulu, also Disney owned, has, is that there's just not enough. Like, it's really only exclusively one thing and one audience and one, it's really, it's a broad audience for sure. You get Disney, you get the cartoons, you get the Pixar, but you also get the Marvel, you get the Star Wars, you get the nostalgia. But I think it appeals to 4 quadrants, but there's nothing there that we haven't necessarily seen before. And the stuff that is new, the originals, we only got like what? The Mandalorian, Lady and the Tramp, and High School Musical TV series. I'm a big High School Musical. Listen, I'm a big High School Musical fan. You know that. We all.
I was gonna say, man, I don't know if you want to keep up with my High School Musical knowledge, bro.
Right,
Are we all fans of High School Musical?
I'm the biggest High School Musical fan.
I own all 3 albums.
I know all the songs by heart.
I was dancing to them
I know
this
the
weekend.
dance moves.
Yeah, High School Musical 3 was the first Blu-ray I ever
really
bought. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
What's your favorite High School Musical song?
Oh man, I can never pull it. I can never. It's the basketball one from High School Musical 3 when he's just singing alone in the basketball in the sky.
That one's great.
Love that number.
How about you, Sabrina?
Favorite song? Okay, it's a mix between "Bet on It,"
Bet
"Gotta
on
Go
It's
My
up
Own
there.
Way."
Yeah.
I feel like that's like those are the most emotional. And "Can I Have This Dance" was gonna be my wedding song for the longest time.
Damn.
Ever since I heard it when I was a kid, I was like, "That's it. I'm gonna get married and dance like that."
So "Bet on It" has a special place on my heart because I know it by heart.
Yeah.
And every time it
dance and
comes
everything?
on, I'm like, oh yes,
Yeah, we gotta do
I'm a
that.
Zac Efron microphone. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
And I'm looking in the water in my reflection. That one, and obviously, I can't lie, bro. It's a classic, but Breaking Free is
So
like...
good.
We're breaking free.
We're breaking free. It's so good. I do it.
Yeah, I did high
Either
school.
way,
Yeah.
back to what you were
That's what
saying.
I'm talking about,
We had
but-
to do a little High School Musical thing because I'm actually watching the series.
How do you like it?
I actually kind of like it.
No, I heard it was
it's
good.
real, like it's super over the top, but I'm kind of digging it.
Now the series is about a group of kids doing High School
Yeah.
Musical as a musical.
As a
right?
musical.
Ah, okay. Because I did High School Musical my senior year, so I'm curious to see that. Yeah. I was
It's
Corbin
close to
Blue.
home.
Yeah, it
You
really
were Corbin
does.
Blue?
Yeah, that character. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Why did they give that to you, RB3?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they cast a black guy, Zac Efron, too, but whatever.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah.
I did musical theater I've said this a million times to you, but I've done it for 13 years. I did it through middle school, high school, and college. Yeah, musical
Rip
theater.
a tune, bruh.
What's up?
Rip a tune.
No, especially with my voice right now. But my singing voice has always been the super subpar, super get by.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know musical theater like the back of my hand.
I love it, man.
But either way, you're right. Those are the only originals right now.
Yeah, and the world according to Jeff Goldblum is also a big one.
There you go.
The whole 30 seasons of Simpsons is a big one too.
Sure.
So they do have a lot of things that grab people. The thing is, I don't know about sustainability because for me, my only thing is that a lot of the stuff on here are things that most people have already seen. And I don't know, as opposed to Netflix, we never really get enough of things that we haven't seen on Netflix. Like it's literally just full of shit that we haven't seen. So it's always going to have that extra like curiosity level of like, maybe something one day would come on, get on there. But I feel like with Disney Plus, especially since they're releasing these shows like once per week and not like bingeable like Netflix, it kind of makes it a lot of people are going to get tired of waiting on it eventually. That's what I think.
I want to go to you, Sabrina. I kind of want to know, first of all, are you getting Disney Plus? Do you have Disney Plus? And your general connection to Disney as a whole, are you one of the Disney nostalgic heads like everyone else, or not really?
So I am going to be getting Disney Plus. I kind of wanted to give it a little time to see everybody else's reactions and see if it was kind of worth it. And I did see the list of movies, a lot of the Disney Channel original movies, which like I grew up on. Like obviously all the shows we loved, like Hannah Montana, everything like that. But something about the DComs, those got me. So that alone, which goes to your point about like sustainability, I feel like after I watch Smart House, after I watch Luck of the Irish, or like 13th Year, or those movies that I loved, I feel like after that, I'll be like, okay. Yeah. I'm like, after I watch those, like, I'd get over it. It's not like I'm going to go revisit them once a month or anything. So
Can we all agree that Disney Plus is going to live or die? Obviously, I mean, catalog is important, but I feel like originals might be more important. And if I'm Disney and I can make an original series for little kids, because let's face it, this is for little kids, a lot of it is, will that work, RB3? If they start making more originals? Because there's more coming.
They are making a lot of originals. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know about the release model. I don't know what's going on with it. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, this is what's so weird about, because we have seen a lot of streaming services pop up like very recently and all falling on their face. Apple TV, like you said, kind of fell. There's other ones that CBS All Access too. Now Viacom is completely shifting their business model to go away from having their own streaming services to just implementing stuff through Netflix. We saw like, I guess they signed a big deal with Nickelodeon.
They did, yeah.
For exclusive Netflix shit or whatever. So like we're seeing that. We're seeing more of that where people are going to use the big Netflix or the other stuff to do it. BT Plus is another one. I mean, I haven't been peeping at BT Plus. My mom got it, but she's liking the Tyler Perry shows. But that's what I'm saying. They launching with 4 or 5 originals. I just don't know is enough anymore. Netflix didn't even start with originals, but they set the expectation that the originals are driving the subscriber base. So I don't know how long.
Can you tell the audience what BT Plus is?
BT Plus?
Yeah.
BT Plus is the BT streaming service exclusive. Okay. So it's like what BT Plus is, it's essentially like Disney Plus in the sense that it has its own website, but it also lets you filter the channel through like Amazon or whatever. But it's all the BT content. It's all the episodes of Martin. It's all of Tyler Perry's catalog, including original movies and 4 new TV shows. So, and all being filmed at Tyler Perry Studios. So yeah, that's the BT Plus thing, and that's the only Viacom one that they're pursuing right now because CBS All Access they're about to phase out, and a lot of the other ones they're phasing out too.
Is that an exclusive deal with Tyler Perry?
Exclusive deal, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's also what I think is interesting about Disney. Disney isn't necessarily investing in like the artist per se. They're investing in the properties and the brands, right? So a lot of their wherewithal is going to depend on how long people are vibing with these brands. Right now, Star Wars, thanks a lot to The Mandalorian, is hot and is on the tip of a lot of people's tongue. But then how long will that last? Right now, Marvel is at the top of his game making hit after hit after hit, but how long will that last? And if that doesn't last, then what happens to Disney Plus? So it's a lot of these variables. There's a lot of question marks that still left to be asked.
Well, can the future be, and this will be my last question before I ask something for both of you guys, can the future be kind of I still think is going to happen, where exclusive movies go straight to Disney Plus? If you want to see Scarlet Witch 2 MCU movie, it's only on Disney Plus.
I know they said their whole thing is that when movies go to home video, it's going to go straight to Disney Plus. Like not even a wait period. It's going to go on DVD and on Disney Plus.
That's kind of an incentive, right?
Yeah. That's a big incentive. I mean, and I think it's kind of cool that even with something like Endgame and Captain Marvel, they give you all of the bonus features on Disney Plus, like with the movie.
Cool.
So you could watch the behind the scenes, you could watch director's commentary, all that shit with Disney Plus. To me, the real feature of Disney Plus doesn't start until April 1st, 2020, when they bring back Prom. Prom is the one movie that they didn't have on Disney Plus that I was looking forward to.
Prom?
You know
That
what Prom
one
is?
with the blonde girl with the bangs.
Yes.
What's
2012. Literally nobody saw it. I was the only one in theater when it came out. When I saw it, it's 2012 movie.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's literally a movie about these high schoolers asking each other to prom. And it's a Disney movie, but nobody's ever heard of it.
That's
Disney's
gonna
been
bring
throwing
back
it
That
under
was
the
when it
bus.
started like falling off. Like all
I was going to
those,
say,
like,
that sounds like a
original-
PTSD moment for me.
No, it is. But I've been looking for this movie for years. And
Interesting.
I got Disney Plus. I was like, listen, I'm ready for it. It's not even available on here.
great.
Yeah, it's not even
Yeah.
available on here.
You know what's funny? This will be my last thing again. I keep saying that. The first Disney Channel original movie that I looked up is the first Disney Channel original movie that no one knows about, kind of like your Prom. And it's one called Under Wraps. I don't know if you guys know about this one.
Yes.
But I literally went on Disney Plus the night it opened. Obviously, I saw The Mandalorian. But after I saw The Mandalorian, I looked up Under Wraps and I typed it in. Nope, not available.
Really?
And I was like, yo, y'all tripping. This is the first Disney Channel original movie.
Yeah.
And I remember watching, because obviously I'm older than you guys. But it's one of those things where it's not even on there. And then I remember freaking My Date with the President's Daughter.
Yeah.
And I looked it
Dress.
up and I was like, yo, it's not on there either.
That's not on there?
No.
Hopefully they'll add them
They have
eventually,
to add
right?
They
They're
have
going
to.
to
That
eventually.
That's a classic.
That one I remember.
I would literally
Maybe
watch
that's why they're
that
keeping us.
tonight.
They're like, okay, here you get Smart House, you get
Yeah.
13th Year, but wait
All
a second,
great.
you'll get Prom.
Those are great.
Yeah,
Right,
those
right,
are.
right.
But where's My Date with the President's Daughter?
Well-
Remember the jingle for that song?
My Date
My
with
Date
the President's Daughter.
Oh,
Yeah.
My Date with her. It's so good.
Yeah. Listen, it's really funny what they have with what Disney has and haven't been doing with their rollout. They've been picking and choosing certain ones that they know hot button issues are going to come up with. I know Song of the South I mentioned before. That's their notoriously openly racist movie that they made in like the 1940s or whatever. And of course, that's not even on there.
Well, you saw
And-
the Lindsay Ellis video where she talked about Disney's wokeness. You saw that, right?
yeah, of course,
Where she
yeah.
talks about how Disney is kind of going down a path of erasing their past.
Yeah.
And kind of pretending it didn't exist. Like, Disney was never a racist. The Song of the South doesn't exist. And they're deleting, like, records of
Except
the movie.
they still use the Song of the South song at
Sure.
the parks. They still use the song.
Sure. But it's kind of the idea of, like, it's interesting where Disney is going with this idea of, like, surface level, like, underhanded, like, see, we got you guys. We casted a black dude. Now give us all your money or die.
Well,
kind of thing.
Well, did
because
you guys,
they do have that.
Yeah. Did you guys see the like disclaimer?
Yeah. I was literally just about to bring that
Yeah.
up. So yeah, there's
What's it disclaimer?
Yeah.
So it says they put the disclaimer and it says this program is presented as originally created. It may contain outdated cultural depictions. But I feel like that's I don't know. They compared it to another disclaimer. I saw somebody on Twitter that was a lot. It was just worded so much better. Rather than saying that, it's like, I don't know, because the way they're saying this, it's like it's presented as originally
It's so
created.
interesting. I know you are RB3. I don't know if you're caught up on Watchmen.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, of course.
But it's that idea of like, I love that. I think it was in the second episode or first episode that in the future, in this Watchmen future, they give like all these crazy ass warnings, like warning, this show is awful. It's disgusting. It's gonna offend you. If you want to watch it, it's on you. Like that.
It's like a marketing tag.
It's like a marketing tag where in in this Watchmen future, I don't know if you've seen it. They kind of give you like trust me, like we're so sorry. Now watch this show. And I was like, yo, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
How that might be our future.
Well, it's funny because they do that warning and then they give you the stop. They literally are making fun of Zack Snyder's movie where they give you like the slow motion fight scenes.
Yeah.
Like, but
they're making fun of a lot of things.
They're making fun of a lot of things.
It's a great ass show.
But it's interesting to me because I looked up Song of the South and that wasn't there, but they kept Dumbo in there, which I think is like really really interesting.
But Dumbo is like
Dumbo is considered a classic.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of problematic shit in that movie. I mean, we talked about it when we talked about Tim Burton.
Yeah, of course.
There's literally a song where there's like slaves, like we like being slaves, and then there's the Jim Crow. So there's a lot that's wrong with that movie.
Yeah.
But because it's iconized in that way, and because they didn't. But it's funny because I'm looking at this article right now. There's 5 that they did that with. Dumbo, Peter Pan, right, for the Native American misrepresentation.
Of course.
Lady and the Tramp,
yes,
for the Siamese Cats.
I was going to say that one. Yeah.
Jungle Book for the orangutans because they're supposed to be like plain black people, and the Aristocrats with another Siamese cat type thing. So it's just funny that, and when the movies are that big and that important to their filmography, they're just not going to take them off.
They're not going to.
They have to do a disclaimer for it.
Sure.
So.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it makes sense. Why not? Okay. I want to ask you, Sabrina. I'll start with you, and obviously you can think RB3. Just off the top, what streaming services do you actually pay for? And what streaming services do you use? Obviously, do you actually pay for? Do you use the most? And do you have? It could be you're using a friend's password.
So
I'll start with, what do you actually pay for?
Okay, so myself, I pay for HBO. So I pay for that one myself. Everything else, I'm on like the family one for Netflix, on the family one for like Amazon Prime, all of that kind of stuff. I do have Hulu, but I never use it. I want to start using it more. There's just so many. It's kind of hard to decide what you want to dedicate your time to.
Right now you have Netflix, Hulu, HBO.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
And
anything else?
I think that's it. I will get Disney Plus, so that will be added to the list. And the one I spend the most time on is probably HBO and Netflix. It's a solid mix, but HBO just has some really really great shows. So they hook you in, and you're dedicating a lot more time rather than watching just like a movie on Netflix, or if you do get caught up in a show, there's like a few episodes one season or something like that.
Right.
You are RB3.
I'm still.
Which one do you pay
list.
for?
I pay for all of them. So I pay for. I'm literally the guy who hands out passwords.
Yeah.
So I got Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. I got 3 channels in Amazon, and then HBO, Filmstruck when it was around. I'm trying to think of like I know for a fact there's more. What's the one? Crackle,
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. Yeah, Crackle.
Crackle.
Apple TV. If we're talking music, Apple Music and Spotify, but Spotify because it gives me Hulu. So yeah, literally all of them.
And which one do you use the most? And your favorite?
Netflix.
Okay.
Netflix. Or actually, in terms of like, well, also I get HBO too because my mom also pays for cable. So a lot of times I'm literally watching HBO like on the TV. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. So like, so I will watch a lot of HBO like on the TV. But if we're just talking about like when I'm streaming most, like on my laptop, definitely Netflix.
Okay,
sure.
Interesting. I do a lot.
Also, Amazon is close second.
I was gonna say Amazon. I don't have. I have based off you. That's the one that I'm like. Well, I've never had Amazon.
So you can also say you have Magnolia Selects, IFC Films, and Epics because those are all channels that I have on Amazon.
You do?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I would have gone off.
Is that everyone or is that just you?
That's just me, yeah.
So I need your password too.
I was going to say.
It's $5.99 extra for each one of those, like each month. Yeah.
So I pay for Netflix. And I'm the one who like is my whole family has their names on it, but I'm the one who pays for it. Hulu, obviously Disney Plus now, ESPN Plus now, and What's hold on, Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO obviously. And I can't lie, I used to have Crunchyroll. I don't anymore.
Oh, I used to have Crunchyroll.
Just for the hardcore anime fans.
Oh, okay.
The reason why I got rid of Crunchyroll is because Hulu went off. Like they stepped up their game. They went anime crazy. Nice. And they have exclusivity anime streaming rights, which means that when it airs in Japan at like 2 a.m, like I could see it here at 2 a.m, like live stream, Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, whatever it is. That's why I got rid of Crunchyroll, because I'm like, what am I paying for if I can just get Hulu? Yeah. And I can watch whatever else Hulu has, which I do. I watch Hulu quite a bit. But the one I use the most, and this is why I agreed with you, HBO, man. HBO is the one I use the most. I'm constantly on HBO, whether I'm rewatching shows that I've never seen before, whether I'm watching the current shows that come out. Like almost everything that HBO has, I watch it. Like literally, they're like,
I'm getting to that point.
They're like Catherine the Great, and I'm like, hell yeah, Russian, literally like Russian history. No one's watching that. I'm watching that right now. Right. Obviously, Watchmen and all that.
I forgot to say Canopy is another one I have. Canopy.
What is Canopy?
I don't know. That one, I think that was through USC, so I don't pay for it. So, but yeah, that's like classic films.
Here's my follow up to you guys. What would you guys? Are you guys gonna get? There's a few coming out. HBO Max. Peacock, and
what's Peacock?
Peacock is the NBC one. Apple Plus. What's the other one? I think that's it. Are you guys gonna get the ones that are coming? HBO Max,
Apple
Peacock,
Plus already came out, but
Apple Plus.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna get any of those?
I can't see myself. I could maybe, like, if one of my friends wanted to give me their password, because I give a few of them my HBO. So if somebody else was attached to that and really wanted and had it already, I'll check it out.
First one off the bat, Apple, whatever it's called. I think it's called Apple
TV Plus.
Apple TV Plus. No?
No.
Me neither.
Yeah. I already got it, but
you got it?
They give you through Apple Music.
That's right.
If you're a student. So there's nothing good on there. So.
Peacock? You guys doing the Peacocks?
Definitely not.
I don't even know it.
That's NBC.
Oh, the NBC Universal. Yeah,
NBC
no.
Universal.
No.
I don't think I am either.
The only thing that's good on there is The Office, but
I don't know.
I've
never seen The Office.
I love The Office, but I'm not going to pay for a whole streaming service just for The Office.
Sure.
If it's going to be all Universal movies too, that would be interesting.
Yeah, but that is actually kind of interesting.
Here's what really was really interesting about all this. Like HBO has exclusive cable rights to Universal movies, formerly 20th Century Fox movies. I don't know how their deal is now with Disney, and with Warner Brothers. So they have those deals, and same Viacom has a deal with Epic, and there's a lot of deals that also still happen with the HBO and the cable crossover channels with and streaming too. So now my question is, going forward, when Warner Brothers starts HBO Max, are they going to pull all their stuff from? Are they going to pull all their stuff from Netflix, for example?
Yes.
Is when Peacock happens, are they going to pull all their stuff from HBO?
100.
But then
because that's the whole point of this, and obviously I wanted to make this the second half after the break about exclusivity. That's the whole point. That literally is the whole point. But yeah, that's a good question. But I think the answer to that question is yes. I think it is. So out of the new ones, you guys aren't getting it. Are you guys willing or wanting to, off the top of the dome right now, to cancel anything right now?
No, I'm not.
No?
There's nothing I can cancel right now.
No.
But see, that's what's funny when people are saying this is going to be the end of Netflix, like with Disney Plus. Like nobody's leaving Netflix. Like there's way too much shit. I mean, people want to. I mean, there's a lot of people put on Netflix out. It's not like a great original series, but there's enough for everybody where everybody's going to keep that going.
Yeah,
I don't see. That's where it's different for Disney because there is a lot, but then there's a whole section. You can go to the search section on their page, on the Disney Plus page, and they give you like basically all of the breakdowns. They give you Disney through the years. They give you Disney Channel movies, Star Wars movies, Princess movies, Spider-Man movies, whatever. They give you like all that organized. There's really Muppets movies. There's only really like 25 like sub categories that you could box that into. Whereas you go to Netflix, there's literally thousands of movies, thousands of TV shows, millions of hours of content.
Genres. I
Yeah,
think is
genres too.
Whereas Disney can't give you very many genres.
Right.
Netflix can give you a lot of genres.
And to be fair, Hulu is probably going to be like the extension of what else is going to be on there. But I'd much rather get Hulu. I mean, to me, Hulu looks way more exciting than Disney Plus to me.
Really?
At least right now. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because they signed that whole thing with FX. Recently.
I was going to say, this is what I think Disney's going to do. I think Disney is going to really start to take these Fox properties, meaning FX, and start to pimp it out so much on Hulu that Hulu is going to become like, I think, this is me off the dome, like you said, it's going to become kind of cool where everyone's like, yo, you want to see Atlanta? Go to Hulu. You want to see What We Do in the Shadows? Go to Hulu. You want to see the next cool FX show? Go to Hulu. And that might be exclusive to Hulu. I think that might be the future. Obviously not now because FX still wants to live. But if you want to see Fox Searchlight movies, if you want to see the new Alien show, whatever they're going to do with these properties, I think Hulu is going to be that go-to where they put the rated R offensive content where people like me wants to see that. Cool. Let's go to break, and then after the break, I'm going to present more questions to you guys about, I kind of want to talk about Netflix a little bit more.
You want to see me get wild up?
You want to see me go hand, bro. Catch these hands, bro. Trying to catch these hands. So let's go to break, and then after the break, let's talk about more about the streaming services.
This ain't funny, so don't you dare laugh. With the 4/5 divide you in half. You getting at me equals a bloodbath. You do the math, take you out the equation.
The following is a clip from our Honey Boy review done by Sabrina and myself, RB3, for our YouTube channel, First Cut.
It made my heart like really heavy, but like I feel like Alma Harrell, the director, and Shia kind of knew that he needed to be the one to play this part. He's the one that's going to do it justice. And especially throughout the film, you could kind of really feel the catharsis that he's experiencing by playing his father. It really hits home. It's his form of therapy and recovery from his experiences. But yeah, as you said, I don't think there's a hint of self-indulgence or self-pity. I think he's just kind of bearing his soul in this beautiful and artistic way. So I really, really enjoyed his performance.
And what else is art for other than like self-expression? So that's kind of the beauty of it. And it's nice seeing somebody who's had this much experience in the game, especially someone like Shia LaBeouf, who not only has acted for a long time, but he's also directed a few things in the past too. So it's good that he's using like all of his storytelling capabilities to tell something that is deeply personal. I mean, you could tell, I think even in the movie, the character who's representing Shia LaBeouf in the present, played by Lucas Hedges, you see him actually writing the movie for what you're about to watch. And a lot of times,
meta.
It's meta. And a lot of times in movies that could be kind of cheesy. But for me, it worked.
Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
What is up, guys? We are back talking about Disney Plus and streaming. I kind of wanted to finish up our conversation talking about something that became a trending topic over the weekend. And that is, I'm doing it. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Let's go.
By the way, you can find our throwback episode on Zack Snyder on our YouTube channel, First Cut.
Team Zack Snyder.
We uploaded it.
So this is a kind of a weird course of events where this campaign has taken weird-ass turns, left and right, circles. They released a marketing campaign over Comic-Con this year. They're insane online. They released the Snyder Cut people. But we've had very heavy discussions. And obviously, I don't know if you've seen those episodes or if you've caught up with them. But maybe just because I'm a real nerd about this kind of stuff, but I really did a deep dive with a few reporters who were covering this story. And like a real deep dive. And there is kind of some shady stuff going on with the kind of the way they treated Zack Snyder during this shoot and production.
Horrible.
And it obviously what happened was the tragedy with his daughter, but a lot of it too was also kind of low-key using that as an excuse to kind of wash the cut that he had already, give it a nice MCU, car wash, and pretend that like, oh, let's hire Joss Whedon, let's pretend this is a Marvel movie now, and kind of low-key erase everything Zack did, which is very, very messed up to do, to say the least.
It's a lot.
Definitely.
So that's why RB3 and I are kind of low-key pro release the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Even though there is a lot of issues as far as budget, as far as VFX, as far as what's there, what's not there. And obviously a lot of people are like, it doesn't exist. It does exist. A little bit exists, but not much. So that's always a question. But the reason why I bring it up is because HBO Max is really trying to push themselves as much as they can. And I really feel like this goes all the way back to exclusivity, where I have this movie that you guys want, or I have this IP you guys want, whether it's The Mandalorian, because that's what Disney Plus did with The Mandalorian. They said, if you want to see this cool-ass Star Wars show, you got to sign in day one. And now, what is Warner Brothers going to do? And I'll start with you, Sabrina. With all their IP, they have Harry freaking Potter.
Yeah.
They have DC. HBO.
And by the way, this isn't Warner Brothers we're talking about AT&T. This
Correct.
We got to start calling these conglomerates.
Sure.
AT&T. Yeah.
Either way, that's some heavy ass IP.
Yeah.
Rumors have already started. I don't even know if it's confirmed of a Harry Potter show, and I'm just like, yo, I am in. But what about a better, no shade to the CW shows, DC show or DC movies that are exclusive to HBO Max? What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I feel like that'd be a really great idea. I mean, throughout these past years with everything that's happened with Zack Snyder's films and the DCEU, I think kind of not rebranding, because obviously they have Wonder Woman, they have Aquaman, those were successful, but kind of rebranding with that type of stuff and putting a good taste in everyone's mouth again. When it comes to these characters we like, some comic book, like DC comic book characters, I would support that completely. I would definitely check it out.
Can I follow up and say two things that came out this year that are very different and that are very good? One better than the other. Joker.
Yeah.
Made $1 billion.
Yeah.
Better.
And Watchmen on HBO. That's a DC property.
No, I'm sorry.
I was going to say Watchmen is crazy. I'm blown away. I want to talk to you afterwards.
I thought you were going to say Aquaman.
No, this year I'm saying.
Oh, okay, got you.
That came out. Those are two examples of like, I mean, you can be on one, bro. You can make a bank. Like, and it's already proving that if they go a little different, that's the word people keep using. But if you put that exclusive to HBO Max, like, bro, that's...
I think it'd be a good idea if they took those characters like the way they did with Joker and kind of separated it, even though we just had Jared Leto's. So I feel like for some casual movie-going audiences, like they might be confused about everything that's happening. So I feel like if they can do it kind of a little bit seamlessly and maybe take some characters and, rebrand it a little bit, do something different.
I could see a world where we live in this weird art house DC movies that kind of live exclusively on HBO Max, even though it just made $1 billion in the theater.
You were talking about...
Is that something you see?
There was two good DC movies that came out this year, but there was one not
two?
so...
What was the other one?
The other
properties.
One,
yeah.
not two properties.
Movies.
No, there is another property. There is another movie, The Kitchen, or The Kitchen Sink. The one with Melissa McCarthy, Tiffany Haddish.
That's a DC movie?
It's based on a DC comic.
What?
And it's produced by Warner Brothers
and
New Line Cinema.
Too?
It wasn't good. See, that's the thing, though.
That looked kind of bad.
It came. I think it's called The Kitchen.
Okay.
But it kind of came and went. And their thing shouldn't necessarily be like, we are going to make these like weird, it shouldn't be, their prerogative shouldn't be, let's take the obscure graphic novel. I think their approach should be in the same way that I think Logan was to the X-Men universe. They take the most popular character and kind of figure out a way to just stay true to that, but like take it to the next level.
Yeah.
I think Joker is the prime example of that. I think Joker is like their biggest character, probably even bigger than Batman, honestly.
I mean, Batman and Joker, you can basically say it's the same.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm curious to see where they go with like Wonder Woman, though, for example, right? Because that already has like a tone and already has like and we are in the Comic-Con preview that they showed a couple years ago implies that even the second Wonder Woman movie is going for a lighter tone. It's even going to be lighter and more fun and more adventurous. And
I mean,
same thing with Aquaman.
I was going to say, you saw Aquaman.
Yeah.
That movie was light as hell.
And Shazam also came out.
I really liked Shazam.
Oh, that's right.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That was a bubblegum ass movie.
I loved it.
Why are you laughing?
Because
at me?
you hate that movie.
I
That's
didn't hate it. I just didn't care for it.
I think it was something different. I'm glad they did that besides everything else.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was a nice change of pace for them.
Sure.
Yeah. I liked it too.
Here's my question to you
Went to
guys.
the premiere
Maybe
for that
you know.
Ooh,
Maybe.
okay.
Oh, that's right. You did.
Yeah.
Maybe you know. Maybe you know. I don't know. What happens if I'm right now, and I think all three of us are. We all pay for HBO. You know that it's not cheap.
Yeah.
the
The
most
HBO
expensive
Max is
one.
going to be $17 apparently.
What happens to us three? Do we pay an extra $2? Do we have to re-sign in? What's going to be that whole process of, I think these are logistical questions that should be brought up now, so the Disney Plus thing won't happen like it happened to me, for example, where I was like, I already have Hulu, but I still want to get that bundle, but I don't have ESPN Plus, but why would I pay $1 more? And I was trying to figure it out, and I still can't figure it out. If I'm being real, how do I not pay $12, $13 a month for Hulu, but pay $13 a month for Hulu, ESPN Plus, and Disney? All these questions that I still honestly don't know. Do I have to cancel one and change the other? Do I transfer and then my they stop charging me on Hulu? Like, these are questions that I've already read a few articles, and a few of them are kind of like saying different things. Where I read one where it said if you already pay for HBO Go, I think it's HBO Go, right? Yeah, HBO Go.
Yeah.
The streaming one.
Or HBO Now.
Now, yeah.
Yeah.
HBO Now, sure. Then you're good. And I was like, really? I'm good? Like, I don't have to pay. They were like, no, you don't have to pay like an extra amount. And I was like, is that true? Do they just like charge
Don't
me?
ask me. Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is like, do they charge me $2 more? Or because for me, I'm excited for HBO Max if there's like an incentive for me not to worry about logistical issues of like canceling my subscription and reapplying, and paying it more and then paying a fee.
They probably. I think the smart thing to do would be to Godfather people in to see the HBO.
Yeah.
HBO's coming. The HBO Max thing is coming from a very different perspective, say for like a Disney and an Apple TV Plus, because they already have a built-in HBO Now interface. So people are already familiar with the idea of paying for HBO monthly and going into that. I think if you have HBO Now, it should be a Godfather thing to where you could get HBO. And maybe eventually you want to raise the price to, I guess, match the regular users. But I prefer if they just kept the same rate.
I agree 100%. I mean, how great would that be? I don't know if you.
So I just like pulled up an article just because I wanted to check it out.
All right.
So it does say that it's $14.99 a month, and that if you're an HBO Now subscriber, you get upgraded for free.
Oh, okay.
So-
Nice.
That's what I read.
So
Maybe it's the same article, but I was like, really?
yeah.
Well,
For free? So you pay the same amount and you're still getting HBO Max? Bro, that's a
Yeah.
deal.
But see,
That's clutch.
But now there's a lot of people though who are using HBO on cable, and they're still getting a whole different size check from that. So I think for them, the transfer rate is less about people. HBO Now is incredibly popular amongst young people, but traditional TV users still pay for
old
cable.
people who like HBO.
Yeah,
Because
they're
there's still a lot of
paying
old people that like HBO.
Yeah, I mean, my mom still pays for cable. So,
There you go.
I mean, the fact that she does that, they're still getting checks from both hands.
Yeah.
They're getting checks from the fact that the young people paying for the streaming services and older audiences from cable. And then on top of that, and which I think is incredibly crucial, there's still going to be, at least I think, there's still going to be ways that people are going to license movies. I think there's still going to be ways that Universal is going to allow one of their movies to play on like TBS or TNT, or there's still going to be ways that
You think so?
yeah, there's still going to be a way
man.
there's still going to be a way that
You think because of all the old people out there?
not just old people, but there's a lot of these contracts are locked in for years and years and years in advance, and maybe the renegotiation process might take a while.
Yeah.
It might be a process, but I think that overall, there's still a lot of people who use cable and still hold on to that traditional system. I don't think they're
But
going to
it's dying,
abandon
bro.
that just
It
yet.
really is going down.
It's going down.
You know what? Maybe because I listen to so many podcasts that talk about this, and it's literally my favorite subject, as you guys can tell, because I'm still going about this. The idea of streaming, do you see a future like in 10, I don't know how to put a number on this. It could be 10 years, it could be 15, it could be 20, where it's cable's dead completely. Cable doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, I think people still care enough.
Everyone is on streaming.
I personally think people care enough about like local news and local stations.
You know what it is? It's keeping it alive that someone brought up, and I was like, that's so true. And it's the one thing that they got me and that my parents still pay for, but I can tune in. Live sports.
Yeah.
Football, basketball. Like that shit will never... die.
If you have Amazon Prime, you can watch live football.
Yeah, but I'm saying like Amazon Prime isn't that popular versus something like a Netflix.
Yeah.
Or Hulu Live Sports. Like Hulu Live Sports isn't that popular. Sorry guys.
Right.
Like you're not gonna get me to pay $5 more when I can just use my parents' password. That's what I do to see live sports on my laptop, and then I stream it on my TV. But that's kind of the one thing that's keeping cable alive. But when it comes to TV shows, you can I can go right now to NBC.com and watch The Good Place. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to have cable to see that show.
And then also the TVs we're getting. Some of them already have, like the smart TVs have all the built-in apps. Like my dad's. My dad does have cable. We never, whenever I'm at his house, we never watch it. Like when I'm in Chicago, we're hanging out. We're constantly on Netflix, Amazon Prime. And so he's always using it. So he still pays for it. But how long does it, how long do you stop doing that? Yeah.
I told you last week, I told you guys that every time I go home, whether it's for the holidays or something, and then I start changing channels, it's like the most awe experience where I'm like, whoa, I'm back in the past.
It's like a movie started like 30 minutes before, you're 30 minutes in, can't go
because
back.
I don't have
nostalgic,
cable.
though. It's nostalgic.
It's nostalgic. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like, yo, they're playing Avatar on FX.
But see, but also but on the low, cable might have like a way better selection than like any of the. You could probably find way more of what you want to watch on cable. You could probably find on Netflix, because at least like when I'm like cable surfing, I could at least like go to 2 or 3 before I find something like that I could at least like sit through. But with Netflix, I'm just sitting through there forever.
That's so true. But you know what it is, and I always feel like, I don't know, maybe you'll disagree. I don't think that's TNT show or blah, blah, blah. I think it's what you said. Licensed movies.
Yeah.
Every time I tune into AMC, FX, TNT, and they're playing The Departed, I'm like, fuck, I want to see The Departed right now.
Yeah,
like, that shit's fire.
Exactly.
Or they're playing like the Harry Potter movies, and I'm like, hell yeah, Goblet of Fire. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, licensed movies, like, has that effect of like, it's going to keep people watching, because you're like, oh, I'll watch it. Why not? I'm not doing anything else right now.
Right.
And then you'll watch whatever movie.
Exactly.
But if there's a future where no licensed movies anymore, because all of them have their own streaming service, because in the next 3 years, every major conglomerate, like you called it, has their own streaming service.
Yeah.
So now it's like, do we live in a future where licensed movies doesn't exist? So
I don't know. That's a big question. I hope not. I hope that it's not a future we live in, because that's still a large revenue stream for the industry in general, and it's also still a platform that independent movies still like make a lot of money. And that's kind of the biggest hole, I think, right now in the streaming game, is that like it's really hard for independent movies to like get that, because streaming doesn't pay out as much per play as something like ratings do on TV, but we don't even know what ratings really mean, because it's kind of fictional anyway.
I was going to say, before the first job I had in LA was working for a startup company that we licensed our original content to broadcast. And the first thing I can say to you, man, is, bro, like low key, like low, broadcast is kind of BS. Like it's kind of messed, like you just said.
Yeah.
Everything is based on ratings. Everything is, we'll cancel you in 2 weeks if you don't pick it up. Like everything is just scare tactics. Everything is like these big major companies that own all the shows that people watch, and they just bully you into making the content that they want you to make. That's all. I mean, that's been the same for years.
Right.
Versus streaming, for example, Netflix, I can find original cool ass shows that will not air on NBC at 7 p.m., but it'll air on Netflix on Sunday night, or on HBO on Sunday night, or Hulu, whatever it is, that doesn't exist in cable.
Right.
And I feel like that kind of risk-taking is only exclusive to streaming services. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's something that always kind of hit me, where it's like I've worked for broadcast, and broadcast is kind of psycho.
Yeah, that's why I love Netflix. That's why I love Hulu. That's why I love all these streaming platforms, because it really opens up the opportunity.
I always obviously we've had fights about this, and again, Sabrina has not been a part of that.
Yeah,
but
thankfully.
I do too. I really do.
Yeah.
When it comes to movies, though, that's the one thing that I have questions about when it comes to streaming, and that's kind of where I want to finish up. This year, I talked to you guys about it, I believe, a couple weeks ago. Netflix has the most, I believe, than any other year, and they've tried for years, even more than last year with Roma, the most like hype movies that could be pushed for Oscars. Awards campaigns matter, and Netflix this year is on fire with awards movies. We obviously just reviewed Marriage Story last week, and we all agreed like this is a dope ass movie. we were talking about The Irishman before we went on air, and the Oscar chances, but there's definitely a possibility that's going to win Oscars with the Scorsese hype. Obviously, there's a little bit of hype for Two Popes. There's some hype for Dolomite Is My Name.
Right.
Like, this is the most...
The King for Best Original Score.
There you go. This is the most Netflix...
I had to pull that one out.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'll give the credit.
Score.
Yeah. This is the most Netflix hype I've seen for awards movies. And that's one thing that streaming services... I mean, obviously, what was it, 2-3 years ago? It got booed at Cannes.
Yeah.
Like, this
they're
is
not going to be
thing.
doing it for too much longer.
That's what I'm saying.
They're
Like,
the only ones paying for these
if
movies.
Netflix is making Oscars, winning Oscars, like, this is the one thing that can get streaming services on a different level. Netflix is trying so hard to win Best Picture. And they were so close last year. But what do you think about that, of watching awards movies now, not even just blockbuster movies? Because I can't lie, I'm excited for the Michael Bay movie that's coming out on Netflix. I don't know what it's called.
Underground?
Yo,
yeah.
that
Ryan
movie
Reynolds,
looks
right?
high.
Yeah, okay.
That movie looks so cool, and I'll watch that movie.
Yeah.
But when it comes to awards movies, there's a different level of prestige that's added to it. What do you think of that idea on Netflix?
So it's really funny that you bring that up because I'm actually going to see Marriage Story again right after this with my friends, and they're like, well, they're here for it, but they're like, oh, if it comes out December 6th, like, why would we go see it in the theater?
Right.
And I'm like, well, it's one of those that you kind of, if you have the chance to do it, why not? If this is gonna be in like awards contention,
Right.
You get to be like, I saw this in a theater, or at least that's something I like to think about, and I like to experience it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we saw Roma. I think we saw Roma in the theater last year. I saw it in the theater. Did you see?
I didn't get to see it.
You didn't see it in theater? I did. No. You saw Irishman in the theater.
Yes.
And we talked about Irishman before we went on air. Is that a movie to be excited for?
I mean,
and
yeah,
you told
definitely.
me, and I want to tell you.
Yeah.
Can I say this or
Sure,
no?
go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're gonna say, but
I mean, it's not anything bad, but
Yeah.
you were like, I asked you, should I pay money to see this in a theater? And you're like, man, it might be too long.
oh yeah, it is definitely too long
Yeah?
for a theater experience for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
And it's 3 hours and 30 minutes is not like a long movie, but it is a long movie, but there's no intermission, and we saw it at I saw it at 9 o'clock at night, so that was a bad choice on me. And then it only shows in one movie theater in LA, so there's all these sweaty old guys, and it kind of smells, and it was a little weird. It felt kind of gross. So I don't know. It's a lot, but for a home experience, for home entertainment, it's perfect. It's perfect because you could take breaks, you could drink water, you could do whatever you need to do, and that's where. If you're going to give these creators this ultimate freedom to make these 3 hour and 30-minute plus movies, do it on Netflix so more people can enjoy it.
So I have a follow-up to this, and I want to ask you, Sabrina.
Yeah.
I'm convinced, and there's a few other people, again, to a couple podcasts that I listen to, are convinced. Like, everything you just said is so true, RB3, because this might be the movie that people watch like they saw When They See Us, or like they saw Stranger Things. They watch this like a show where they're going to watch an hour on a Tuesday and then take a day break and then watch another hour or a 35 minutes on they're going to watch this movie almost like a Netflix limited series, whether it's When They See Us or Stranger Things. Like, I might watch this like I watch a Netflix show because it's so long that I might be like, you know what, I'll watch like a little bit, 45 minutes, and then I'll watch. Yeah. That's kind of going to be the way most people watch this movie, which is wild.
I didn't think about that, but I understand it. I completely understand it, and I even might be one of the same people.
I was going to say, are you going to do that?
I might stop, take a break and like eat, maybe like an hour break or something, even not even a full day, but like who knows? Just because I did talk to you guys about that. Yeah, I talked to you guys, you last week, and I was like, I just am not going to go to a theater to see it as much as I love going to movie theaters to see everything, because I can't see myself sitting down there for that long. Even though all my friends are like texting me and they're like, you have to see it, you have to. I'm like, it is coming out on Netflix. If it was like a theater release and then coming out like on like VOD and stuff like that later on or something like that, I would. Yeah, it's going to be on Netflix soon, so I'm going to wait for that. I could take a break, get a snack, and not have to worry about missing anything. Like, as if I go to the bathroom for like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that, you don't know what you're missing. And so I don't have to worry about any of that. So that's something that's definitely, I'm not.
And speaking to that way of watching movies and taking movies now, we already see Netflix already did an experiment like that with The Hateful Eight. Like, they literally took The Hateful Eight, originally a 2-hour, 50-minute movie, they let Tarantino put all of his deleted scenes in there and cut it into 4 parts and made it a 4-part series. And literally with a whole intro and everything. Like,
really?
So
What?
that,
I didn't know about that.
for 1 hour episodes of the movie just broken up in the pieces. And if that allows for something like a Scorsese, like an Irishman to do it, and I think Tarantino even said like he's considering doing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that way, where it's broken up in like episodes.
Yeah.
If that's how we can consume more of this content and enjoy more of it that way, I'm all for it.
Really? Do you not feel like
I didn't like the Hateful Eight thing though, but I like the idea.
Do you not feel like, and I'll ask you again as well, Sabrina, maybe because I'm not. I mean, I don't know if you're as much as a film purist as I am, but the idea of watching a movie in little parts is almost like sacrilegious. Like, is that even watching a movie? Isn't part of a movie watching experience watching the whole thing at one sitting and then getting that emotion, like ups and downs of like this person's doing this, now he's that, now it's an action scene, now like, and then it's over and you're like, oh, cool. This is what came out of it. This is my feelings on this movie. But watching it in bits and pieces, isn't that kind of like, I don't know, it makes my skin crawl. Like, is that movie watching? Even though I might be the ones to do it because the movie's so long that I'm like, man, there's a lot. That's a lot. Do you think that's still, is this the future of movie watching like RB3 said? And if it is that are you going to get the same out of if you saw it in a theater and you get the whole thing in one sitting?
So something like the example you brought up with Tarantino, since he was on board with all of that, it wasn't just someone just pausing it whenever they wanted to and getting back to it the next day.
He actually personally re-edited it. Yeah.
So I understand that because then you do kind of get like some type of like conclusion or like close out, and then maybe you're like, okay, I could pick this back up tomorrow, next week, whatever. But if you just watch, that's what I would be nervous for also with The Irishman is if you just stop it at your own time and then pick it up the next day, it's like, what if you don't remember parts or like
you
whatever?
might not have that momentum.
Yeah, so I personally wouldn't do that for movies normally, even though The Irishman is so long. I'm gonna knock it out in a day for sure. And if I have to pause for 10 minutes and take a break, I will.
Right.
But then, even getting onto that subject a little bit with like Marriage Story, another one. So that one's about like 220, I believe. And it coming out on streaming services, I think it's going to reach like a really wide audience. The only thing I get nervous about is like people just not really paying as much attention because it's like a Netflix film.
People tuning out.
Yeah, just tuning out, being on your phone. Like, because when you're in a theater, you're not on your phone.
Yeah.
That's what I've said for years, man. I've always said, there's certain movies, obviously there's certain other movies, but every experience I've had watching a movie has always been like, man, I wish I was in a theater. And I've always had that. But again, that's just me. Yeah. But do you think that's still cinema? Is that still movie watching if you're watching it like a TV show?
Yeah, I still consider that movie watching. And I think partially because we have more access. Now, I think that's the difference. Like, we haven't had the access to do this before. But I think if you go back to, like, the 1930s and 1940s and they had some sort of technology that let them stop a movie and take a second or come back to it later and go back to it, if they had that kind of – I mean, obviously they had, like, the projectors back then, but, like, it was a lot harder to do that. Like, I'm sure if they had a way to figure that out now what we have now, if they had that back then, they would have been doing it that way too.
And I was going to say, you brought up Marriage Story. There's so many movies this year, last year. I don't know if you'll agree with this, RB3, and this will be the last thing I'll say, and we can go home. We all go home together. Yeah. It's that idea of like, I've been kind of thinking about it. There's a few long movies, and long is, that can be interpreted in many ways, that you can actually kind of watch like a TV show. I was thinking about the first one that came to my head, and we both like it, so I go to you, is It Chapter 2. It Chapter 2 was a 3-hour movie, but low-key, it's kind of like a show. Each character goes on their own adventures, like their own 20-minute adventures. It's like a mini Stranger Things where you can kind of watch it in bits and pieces, and the way that Andy decided to direct it and to write it was very much like I was like, this is kind of like a when I was in theaters watching it, I was like, this is kind of like a show. And then rewatching Watchmen, for example, another Zack Snyder film, speaking of Zack Snyder, again, it's such a long-ass movie. Maybe it's the director's cut.
Yeah.
But it's that idea.
3 hours and 2 minutes.
Exactly. And it's the idea, like, it's kind of like a mini Watchmen show. Like, I was thinking about it. And then, obviously, Marriage Story, it's almost like a play, and you can almost kind of watch it in different acts. Is this kind of where movie making is going? Where it's long-ass movies, but you can take little mini breaks. And, I mean, look at Avengers Endgame. Look at movies are getting longer, man. Like Avengers Endgame, It Chapter 2, freaking Star Wars is going to be long as hell. Like these are long. Scorsese's Irishman. Like these are long ass movies that people are talking about. So. I don't know. Do you think that's something? Or
yeah, I think I think movies were long back in like the 60s and 50s and shit. Like, the only difference is there's an intermission. Now people don't have patience for intermission, and plus theaters don't want to do intermissions because it like takes up time, it hogs up time. But
the only one I mean, obviously Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight was the big one.
You saw that in theater, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you got the
intermission?
intermission.
Didn't have intermission. Yeah.
And you saw it in 70?
I loved it. Yeah, 70 millimeter.
Yeah, me too.
They gave you a whole pamphlet.
You watched it at the ArcLight?
ArcLight.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. It was.
I see you.
Yeah,
I see you, man.
a little flex, you know. It's funny because movies have structures that kind of allow for pause. Some certain movies have the structures a little more obvious where you can see that. Some movies like Requiem for a Dream, for example, you can't really. You have to kind of consume that in one thing because it's just a through line story. You know what I mean? I was considered another Tarantino movie, Django. I would have a hard time telling people watch Django in sections because to me that movie only really works as like a one time. Like adventure, you know what I mean, all the way through. Yeah. So then, it kind of goes up and down. Talking about Avengers, to me, the first Avengers movie is the one that stands out as like this is the movie clearly made by a TV guy, Joss Whedon, because it very much has like the very like big action scene that we're gonna stop and talk about for 10 minutes. Then another big action scene, like it has a very clear TV type structure. Now. Avengers Endgame, I'd almost argue is way more cinematic than that, though, to where like it is a more full, but it does kind of have chapters too, right? It does have the beginning, then it has the time travel stuff in the middle, then it has the ending battle. So it can go back and forth. It just really depends.
Well, this has always been a debate, and I'll bring it back to you, Sabrina, between studios and directors, where they've fought about this for years and years, and they still do, especially with big movies. But for example. We started out the second half talking about Zack Snyder. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest fights that we remember was Batman versus Superman, where this was an actual fight that they had where they said, dude, I think it was like almost 255. His cut was like 255 or 3
hours, yeah.
And you had to bring it down to 2.5. They said, at least give me 2.5. And they were like, please, please, please. And Zack Snyder likes his long-ass movies.
Yeah.
And that they like begged him like you have to do it. So much so that in Justice League, this was actually like all over the place. Everyone knew about this. They said that the movie had to be under 2 hours. Had to be.
Yeah.
Because they could be in more screens. If you're in more screens, you make more money. Mm-hmm. So you're sacrificing quality and pacing for more money, and that's how studios.
Which ultimately was their downfall.
Yeah. And it's the least grossing DC movie so far.
Yeah, and it had nothing to do with the length. Clearly,
and I think it suffered because of it. I was watching 100%. It, and I was like, man, this is literally like, let's go.
Literally,
The Flash, he's laughing now, and it's like, ugh, this was awful.
And bringing it back to the start of the conversation, that's why it's going to be on HBO Max.
And that's why it's going to be on HBO Max. But it's another idea of like. Directors who make money and directors who have a little bit of a bigger name are actually kind of putting the hand on studios. Scorsese is an example, but part of that is because of Netflix, where he says, nah, I want my movie to be long as hell. Or Andy, in Chapter 2, being like, I want my movie to be 3 hours, and you can't say shit because it's the biggest R-rated movie ever. And that's kind of what he uses as like a, you can't say shit to me because I gave you guys like freaking $1 billion with It Chapter 1, so give me my It Chapter 2 cut, make it my cut, even though I'm sure they were like scratching their face off because they were like, this is awful, it's too long. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Where the studio and the directors, a perfect example, I can't believe I forgot this one. This year, Ari Aster was like, you know what, I'm going to re-release my movie, I'm going to give you the 3-hour cut that I wanted.
Yeah, wasn't it 3 hours and 20 minutes or
something like that. Yeah. So apparently, and my friends went to see it, and they were like, bro, I'm telling you, like, it really elevated the movie for me versus my first time watching it. And I was like, really? Yeah. I don't know if I should go back and rewatch that 3.5-hour cut. This is a conversation now, and I'll finish with this. Is it good or bad? Because now our director is going to keep making these long-ass, like 3.5-hour movies, 3:15, 3:10. Is that even a good thing? Because shouldn't someone say, hey, you should cut it down? What's the push and pull of like how much is too much cutting and how much is like, overbearing?
Well, I think like basically we just want to avoid like self-indulgence with the director. If you're like Ari Aster, if you are writing and directing your own film and you have a story you want to tell and you believe that your version is the best version, obviously some people could kind of come in and maybe like give advice if he's being self-indulgent. But yeah, I heard everybody loved that cut of Midsommar.
Yeah, it's
so
interesting.
it's like if that's what it is, if that's the best version, why not put the quality one out first so then we're not seeing this one and then we see that one and maybe we like it, maybe we don't. But then there's another thing the director, the creator wants us to see. And maybe the other people didn't.
And another example, I can't believe I didn't bring this up. This whole thing started with the biggest movie of all time is a 3-hour movie. And that's Avengers Endgame.
Well, also,
see what I'm
Avatar
saying?
is 3 hours long, and Titanic is 3 hours.
But
way
that's what
over
I'm
3
saying.
hours.
Like the biggest movies, I mean, Avengers Endgame is the biggest movie of all time. So it's kind of like a lot of people at Disney went to the Russos and were like, bro, we love you. You gave us so much money, but please make it like 240. And they were like, no, 3 hours or nothing, bro.
Yeah.
We're going to make
Which
you
is-
cry with Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I respect that.
yeah,
100%.
it's kind of a good thing that they kind of put their foot down. But then you give another example. I can give you a lot of producers who said that the downfall of a movie that you hated, Blade Runner 2049, and my brother was one of them who was like, bro, good movie, but my God, that was such a long-ass movie. If a producer came in and said, hey, we love you, man, but make it 228. 229.
I could have easily figured out.
I was
going
going
to
to say, do you agree with
I
that?
could have easily figured out.
Could this movie have actually kind of improved if it was slightly shorter?
Yes.
There's
I think a lot
you see
of
what I'm
movies-
saying?
yeah.
Like,
See, that's what I'm
there's
saying.
some good and bad to like someone saying, "Hey,
It
cut
needs
it."
to be a nice compromise.
Yeah,
it has
Don't
to be
tell
a
them like it
compromise.
needs to be under 2 hours no matter what.
Yeah.
If you see a final cut and you're like, or like something like that and you're like, oh no, like this is too long. Like trim this down in certain places. That makes sense completely.
Yeah, and then obviously the conversation happens to Star Wars too, where this is ongoing of like how long it should be.
Yeah.
because
Well-
it's the biggest movie of all. I mean, the biggest franchise. But yeah.
We're talking about Scorsese again. Like the example that I think of with Scorsese is with Wolf of Wall Street. He turned in like a 4-hour cut. And they're like, it has to be 3 hours. It has to be. 3 hours is already long, but they're like, it has to be 3 hours. And when we watch that movie, it flies by like so fast.
Yeah.
Literally, the first 2.5 hours are like rapid, and then the last end of it slows down. But that's the traditional Scorsese
Yeah.
movie. But as opposed to something like The Irishman, like you could feel that, like you could literally feel that nobody told him, like you just turn it in, Scorsese, just give us what you have, just give it to us.
Exactly.
And it's slow, it's meticulously edited, slowly edited, but it's different. You know what I mean? So
And that's what he wanted, man.
That's what he
And
wanted.
it's great because he even said it in his own article, like his own words. He literally said, Netflix gave me everything I wanted. So I'm like, bro, I'm in. Netflix for life.
yeah. By the way, the Batman v Superman cut is 3 hours and 3 minutes, and the Midsommar director's cut is going to be exclusively available on Apple TV Plus.
There you go.
So
There you go.
yeah.
And it was in theaters, and I remember that because a couple of my friends
Yeah.
were telling me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of concludes our conversation. I think it's a fascinating conversation to have because
Yeah.
Netflix, like you just said, RB3, wants to work with the biggest quality directors of all time. They want to work with Scorsese's and Cuarons and like all these directors who are like going to give them Oscars. And if they do win these Oscars, I don't know if all this money is going to be worth it because you know they're burning through cash, right? Netflix,
I mean, yeah.
they're burning
By a
through
certain
cash.
interpretation, for sure.
Certain interpretation, any interpretation. They're burning through cash, and you know they're going to spend money on this Oscar campaign because they spent like 50 mil on Roma, which is like triple what anyone else had.
I'm sure they spent more on Roma, honestly.
I think they said it was like 50 mil.
Yeah.
And then the second, like the other one, I forget what it was. The other, it was like 10 mil.
Yeah,
Like they
it
literally
definitely
3 times or 5 times more than like any other studio spent on Oscar campaigns.
Yeah.
Netflix spent it. And I was like, yo,
Yeah.
y'all are crazy, but they want that Oscar so bad
Yeah.
that they're just like, you know what? This movie, you know, spent 15 million on their Oscar campaign. We're gonna spend 50. It's like, yo.
By the way, for Roma now, I think it's starting to get excessive because now they're still sending people shit. Like they're literally still sending people shit.
Yeah.
Oscars are way over it.
Well,
Get
I mean,
over
to
it,
be
man.
fair, like the Green Book thing was kind of wild.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
everyone
100%.
was like, Green Book, really? Yo,
Right.
okay,
They came out of
I
it.
see you. And a lot of people think it was like all people being like, nah, we're old and we don't care. Green Book for life.
Yeah.
And you did not care for that.
Of course not. Nah, it's awful.
Either way, guys, that concludes our conversation on streaming and Oscars. This was a much longer episode. I apologize to you two. As you can tell, I love this.
Yeah, I love it.
Either way, guys, make sure you can check us out on social media at First Cut, on Instagram at First Cut. TMO, I'm sorry. I was going to say TMO. Sabrina is obviously doing an amazing job with that, and it's so cool. And you can find me on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Squad Leader Race.
You find me, Director RB3.
Twitter and Instagram, Sabrina X Monica.
There you go. Make sure you guys follow us. Alrighty, guys, for the Meaning Of podcast, I'm Andres.
This is RB3.
I'm Sabrina.
And we are peacing out. Peace out, guys.